the channel with Stitch and Designs. Welcome back to my channel. Today's tutorial we're going to be going over this adorable little heart. Or heart and hands. So a little bit about the bag first. This is the Catalina by Ora Rosa. This was my first time making it and I goofed. So technically this is supposed to be the inside, and so my inside technically just has the big slip pocket that was supposed to be on the outside, but I actually really like having this on the outside, so for the next one I might just do two of these panels and then have one on the outside, one on the inside, lots of extra pockets. And I did skip doing the card slots on the inside because this side is just plain and it holds the battery pack for the lights. This is Tay-Tay's Custom Fabrics, and then the hardware, the red colorful hardware, is from Itchin' to Get Stitchin'. So I really like the little extra pop of red that it brings to the fabric, and it just looks super cool. And yeah, I absolutely love the Tay-Tay's fabric, and it's like, and then it's got the hands in the fabric too, so it's like it just looks so good all together. And so the inside is matte jelly vinyl from Weft and Warp, and the lights are also from the same company, and they're on the inside of the heart, or technically in the inside of the hands, and then it also goes around the hands. And so because the heart was so small, I went around the hands as well. If you do not want to do this as a light up design, you can totally skip that part. You don't need to do that portion of it. In the tutorial, I do mention other things that you can do for this instead. If you do sublimation, or you can get it's like printer fabric paper or something or whatever. Can't remember exactly what it's called, but you can pick it up at like Walmart or your craft stores, and then I think you need a ink printer to be able to use them instead of a laser, but you can print pictures, and so you could use sublimation, and you could sublimate and then applique your picture into the heart. So you could do a loved one, family member, a pet if you wanted to. You could applique a bunch of different like pictures if you wanted to, or if you have like a special piece of fabric, a vinyl, you could use whatever you want for the inside of the heart. It doesn't have to be the jelly vinyl. And then other options you could do a clear window on here. I'm not sure how well it would really work to do like an Ita window, a full Ita window on like something like this, but you could still do a clear one and then do like a zipper access from the inside of the bag, and you could even do like a little clear box pouch thing, and then you could actually put a real picture inside of it, and you could then switch the picture in and out, which would be really cute and a nice little thing to be able to carry a photo around. Or you could put a pin, collectible, whatever you want to put if you do like an actual Ita window, or just a clear window with something cool behind it, and then it gets appliqué down, which again would be a regular applique. So I go over all of that different options. I didn't mention the actual picture holder option in the tutorial, so I do kind of get a little carried away with like, oh, if you're doing this, yeah, I apologize. Now it might get a little confusing, because if you're doing a normal applique, you have to put it on top, and then versus the lights needs to be in a different. So a little probably a little too much detail maybe, but hopefully it works out for you. And then yeah, the rest of it is just a really simple design overall. Turns out really cute, perfect for Valentine's Day, or just adorable fabric and applique any time of the year, because it just shows love, and it's just so cute. So if at any time you like something in this video, give me a thumbs up, and I hope you can like and subscribe for my videos. I have more tutorials coming. I got just really busy doing Comic-Con, so now that that's over, hopefully I'll get back onto a routine of having more videos every week. So I hope you enjoy your tutorial and have a good rest of your day. To be able to make the light up hand for the heart on the McKeon, so I have my fabric, it's pinned in place in the corner so it's out of the potential areas where my stitching is going to be going. So fabric is hooped. Other things you will need if you're going to be making the light up version, you're going to need jelly vinyl. I purchased this, or I got this jelly vinyl from Weft and Warp. And then you'll also need white vinyl for the hands part. If you do not want to do this design as a light up, you could technically wear same steps when we do the placement stitch, because you need to cut out the fabric for the light, for the jelly vinyl for the lights anyway. You could put, instead of putting the jelly vinyl, you could put a clear vinyl down, and then you could make it into like a little Ita window where you can see inside, or depending on the bag that you're doing, it wouldn't really work very well for an Ita window unless you put in a pocket behind it. It really wouldn't work. But you could or you could do, instead of cutting out the fabric, when you do the placements, you could do an applique. Let's say if you sublimated a photo onto fabric inside, like to the size of the heart, you could applique that photo on top. Or if you don't do sublimation, there are the fabric printer paper type deals. You could print your picture onto that, or if you wanted to have like if you had different fabric that you wanted to applique something special inside the heart, you could do that. Or you could just do normal marine vinyl, it's your choice. Or because it is being fully enclosed by the white vinyl, you can do cotton woven, because it'll help because there won't be any raw edges showing on it. So you could put a piece of cotton woven there, or you could put another piece of vinyl, or there's lots of options that you could do for the middle of the heart if you didn't want to do the lights. So there's lots of options there. And so also to help, I use the applique cut scissors from Chic Geek. I noticed a huge difference in using applique scissors versus, just grab my other ones. Oh, that's utility. So these are my scissors that I use just for vinyl. And then, oh, there's my fabric ones. Granted, these are, I only use these ones for fabric, but then these are other scissors. So these are all large, straight scissors, where this one has a nice little bend. Oop, let me get it back in the frame. Has a nice bend to it there. And then smaller blades in general. So look at the thickness of how big these blades are versus how big that one is. Like, this is a lot thinner, so you can get in closer and you can get cleaner cuts using applique scissors. That is my personal preference. I noticed my cuts when I switched to only when I did the applique to using applique scissors. I noticed a big difference in my cuts. For me personally, I have cleaner, nicer looking cuts than when I use my other scissors. But that's your personal preference. You'll also need tape if you want to use masking tape to help hold stuff down. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, and we are going to do the placement stitch for the middle of the heart. Okay, so the placement stitch for the heart is here. It's a little odd shaped just because it needs to fit within the hands, so that's not that big of a deal. And then, because this is fabric, I'm going to first make my cut here. If you have a X-Acto knife, I'm like blanking on the name of it. An X-Acto knife can sometimes help get you your cut started at least. So I'm not cutting the fabric out altogether at this moment because I want to have something. I don't know. I could. I honestly could, but I'm just gonna leave it there for the moment. And then, but putting that pre-cut in there will just make life a little bit easier. Once I get the tack down for the jelly vinyl, I will then flip this over and then cut that out. But at least having that whole cut there will make life easier when I go to cut that out. So I'm gonna go ahead and put my jelly, making sure all my area is, back up. I almost did it wrong. So I want my jelly on the back because I want, if you are doing a light up option for this, if you put it on the front where the hands are, it's not gonna give you a lot of excess room for your jelly to, and then plus there's nothing for your lights to attach to. So the jelly needs to go in the back. If you were doing a clear window or a regular applique with another piece of fabric or another piece of color vinyl or cotton woven, all that can go on top. That's totally fine to put that on top first, because then there's nothing to attach to it like the lights will need to be attached to. So the back, it needs to be cover the back, and so because it is on the back, I will, oops, I've written my tape. This down. Okay. And then double check to make sure that you're putting your hoop back, because print is non-directional. I've done it a bazillion times. I goof up. Just double check that your hoop is going, so check your screen that your hoop, if you're doing it on a single needle, your hoop can only go in one direction, so it makes it easier. Multi-needle, double check your hoop is going in the correct direction before placing it in. And then if you can, just kind of make sure that your material, because it's on the back, did not get squished or bunched up. And then go ahead and run the tack down stitch. Okay, now that the tack down is finished, I'm going to, first I'll go ahead and trim away all this fabric that's here. If you were doing a regular applique with clear, you're doing clear vinyl or other vinyl or cotton woven, your fabric would be on the top, so you would need to cut this from the back side, but because I'm doing the light up, my jelly's on the back, I have to cut it from the front. So just take your time. You want to get nice and close, but you don't want to get so close that you cut your stitches. If you do accidentally cut your stitches, it's really not a big deal, because then when you do the hands are going to go just to the inside of that stitching, so it will help hold it in place a little bit more. But then if you cut them really bad, you can always just throw it back into your machine and run and go back a step and rerun that stitch if it gets really bad. And then I am, as you can see, I'm using my other hand to lift the fabric up and out of the way over here for where my scissors are. So that way I can get nice, smooth cuts. And then as I get into the corners, I'm using closer to the tip of the scissors, where if I have like a longer straightaway piece that I can work with, I tend to want to cut towards the back. And tape is causing issues on the back. Here's the pieces. And then whatever you need, just go back into whatever places that you might have left a little bit long. There's not a ton of overlap on this, but there is a little bit. And then the stabilizer, which is just, I use tearaway, which is the nice part about using tearaway for projects like this. You literally can just pull it away, or tear it away like the name says. And then if you will get little fuzzies from the tearaway, just go back through and just make little cuts, kind of trim them up so that way you don't have any extra long ones that you could potentially see. And then again, if you're doing this from the front, you would want to make sure to trim your fabric around the top, and then also, depending on what you're doing, you'll trim you can either trim your fabric from the back if you're doing something that you need to trim your fabric from the back, or if you don't have to trim your fabric, then just trim around the outside every stitch is so opposite of what I'm currently doing. And then you do want to trim close. If you're cutting on the outside, you want to trim nice and close. Granted, it will be covered, but just in case. Okay, so that's all ready to go. And then on the back, at least for the heart, I don't want to trim this close because I'm doing the lights. I'm going to use my bigger vinyl cut scissors. You need to leave material on the back if you are going to be doing the lights, because you need something to attach the lights to. So all of this is going to get left, so that way now I have something that I can attach my light material to. Okay. So now it's going to go back into the machine, and it's going to be doing the placement for the hands. Alright, now that the placement is finished, you can see, at least for the heart, or doing the jelly lights, oh, that's going to be, so, because this, yeah. So I'll have a little bit of area where I can sew the lights down too, but it'll be, yeah. Oh well, it's all good. Not the end of the world. It's still usable. And then I can also sew it down to other stuff. Anyway, so I have the placement lines, so we're gonna go ahead and throw down, woohoo, will one piece be big enough? One, yay, maybe? Score! Yes, I love it. I like it. I like it when things come together. Alright, so let's go ahead and tape this down. I like it, I like it, I like it. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and throw it back into the machine, and the tack down for it, it's, yeah, so we're just going to do the tack down, and then it's going to do the little extra detail, and then after that the embroidery part will be finished, and then we can move on. Once your design is all finished being stitched out, go ahead and trim away all the excess white around the outside of the hands, and then you're also going to need to trim away the white on the inside. That way you can show off your applique design or for your jelly lights, and then you're all finished.